to pray. There's no angels where I go, only pieces that are broken, scattered dreams across the floor. I'm home.
Alrighty, hello everybody, this is Kiru's show here. Now, let us begin. Whenever we last left off, Deku, he has just been taken by some random people. And Tomura has just been injected by someone's quirk. Now, Tomura, he is on the ground, writhing in pain and watching what's going on. His vision somewhat distorting. The man's face morphing and becoming more like a, well, burned paste. His skin's melting and things are beginning to get hot, along with the fact that his eyes turn red and, well, start pouring with fire. And he begins to scream, in shock, as he just continues to scream over and over and over again. And heroes just begin to, well, somewhat hear this, as the man would walk away, carrying Deku. One of the men using a quirk to get them out of there, and they would all leave. Now, with that being said, Tomura, he is, well, in fear, and in shock. Basically, as soon as the heroes arrive, they would see a man on the ground screaming, along with him basically trying to get his hands free. As soon as they see him put his hands on the ground and things begin to crack and actually destroy, they would basically just back away, and watch as things begin to decay. The ground somewhat turning to dust around him, as one person would run in, trying to pin this man to the ground and get him under control. Him basically just screaming that he needs to get out of here, and that he's scared. Until eventually his fear completely overtakes him, and he falls to the ground curled up into a ball. The hero is somewhat just watching this, realizing that he might be the victim of the situation, not the villain. Something is clearly happening with this man. And, let's say a hero would knock him out, and go to take him to the hospital. Now, with that, this is whenever the doctor that works with All For One would have gotten a phone call. He is talking to one of the nurses, and they are saying that they have a bit of an odd case. And they are aware that he is a doctor. They have been talking with other ones and trying to get more tests done, but they don't know what's exactly going on with their patient. And in fact, it seems like he may be one of yours. He is registered underneath this fake name, not Shigaraki. Now, with that being said, the doctor would just stand up and immediately walk into the next room, explaining that he will be on the way, and in fact asking if there is another person with him. The nurse saying, no, there is not. From what they can tell, the only thing that happened was, well, the law enforcement and heroes dropped him off. In fact, they were a bit confused. Apparently, he may have been under the effects of a psychoactive quirk, something that physically affects the mind. But they cannot tell, since the patient is still hysterical. Now, with that being said, the doctor would hang up the phone and talk with All For One, saying that apparently something has happened, and Midoriya may be in trouble, along with Tomura. He is currently at the hospital, and something happened to them. So, All For One would just understand. Him splitting up with Hasashi, the two leaving. The doctor leaving with Hasashi, and All For One going to the place he sent them to, getting things a bit more ready. It is fairly late. It is around 2 in the morning. And, well, this is going to get a lot more complicated. Now, with that, all for one would head to this place he sent them to, the Underground Fight Club. Him walking around and asking questions, and actually talking with more and more people, until he does talk with the bartender, trying to get more answers. Meanwhile, over at the hospital, you have the doctor and Hasashi. The two actually talking more and more, trying to figure out what may be going on with him, along with Hasashi being worried about Midoriya. If Midoriya is at that bar, then they should be told about it. But if he is missing or, well, actually in trouble, things are going to be a lot worse. They're going to have to send him in already. So, that may not be easy. Now, with that being said, eventually the two would get to the hospital, and they would find Tomura. They had to strap him down to a bed along with cover parts of his fingers, or put specialized gloves on him, as so that he would not touch anything. Now, along with that, they are talking more and more. He is still screaming, yeah, but it seems to have lessened from what the heroes have said. And it seems like he's just out of it for a while. The doctor stating that he can take it from here. And in fact, the first thing he wants to do is register a blood test to see exactly what might be in his system. The nurse basically just telling him that they have already done so. And that, whenever that does come back, he will be the first to know. Now, meanwhile, over with All for One. It has been around 10 to 20 minutes since we last saw him, and he has not gotten his answers. As he asks the bartender once again, does he know exactly where this young man was earlier today? The bartender still confused, and not really giving All for One an answer. All for One letting go of his collar and throwing him backwards, telling him that he does need an answer. He is trying to find the young boy, as he does step over more and more of the bodies in the bar. There is no one left alive here. The bartender is the only one left, and All for One is beginning to get more annoyed, wanting this answer before the man finally just yells out that he doesn't know what is so important about this child. To which All for One would immediately just run forwards, picking up once again and slamming him into the wall, as he begins to crush part of his arm, saying that the boy that was here was his son. In fact, he has two of them. One of them is currently at a hospital, while the other one is missing. The bartender actually, well, surprised by this, understanding all the death and carnage around him now. He is trying to protect a child. As the bartender would just state that there was a man asking about them earlier. He's not really sure why, but he said, "Is that him?" Now, I'm not too sure what's going on, but I just keep my lips sealed. It's not the right for me to talk about other customers' business, you know? Usually, it's just a secret. But if that kid's gone, then as he would just begin to describe the man, All for One just doing one thing, setting the man down and walking out, as he actually is trying to get more and more answers. It has been roughly 7 to 8 hours since Midori has gone missing, and it is roughly around 5 to 6 in the morning. Let us cut backwards by those 8 hours, or at least 6 hours. 2 hours after Deku went missing, he has woken up, and he is still confused at where he is. As he does try and move, finding that he is in chains, and that, well, there's something over his face, along with his head. Along with that, he feels something on his neck. So, where exactly is he? As someone began to speak, Deku looking around and asking who is there. As the person started speaking, saying that if Deku, or if he decides to try and, well, use any of those quirks, then he is going to be in trouble. They're quite aware of a few of them, or well, 3. Hardness, Steel, and just break out, then you are in quite the world of trouble. Deku unsure of what he means, as he finally gets the sack pulled off of his head. Staring directly at the man, he is directly restrained on the wall. Might as well be floating, so this is not good. The man just explained that for a child he is fairly good at fighting and killing. So, along with that, you are with Tomura. Shigaraki. Exactly who would you be? Deku just spitting in this man's face. The man actually a bit annoyed, punching Deku in the chest, telling him that he asked a question. Now, the reason why I'm asking is because I am with a few friends. In fact, we consider ourselves to be the only ones who remember him. Deku confused, as the man would just go on stating that the man who can give and take quirks. All for one. They believe that he is still alive. In fact, there's a rumor going around that your boss is him, the giver and taker of quirks. So, is that true? Deku just keeping his lips shut. The man basically just telling Deku to answer him now. Otherwise, things are going to be getting a lot worse. Deku not really listening to the man, as the man just keeps going on, punching Deku over and over again across the face, and into the gut, as they begin to tell Deku that he needs to give them an answer. Before, Deku would have done one thing. He would look up at the man as he activates his quirk. As soon as he activates it, this thing on his neck shocks him, sending a large number of volts through his body. As the man would somewhat just laugh at Deku, telling him that he needs to be a bit more careful. That thing senses whenever a quirk activates, so if you don't answer us, then things will be getting a lot worse. Now, answer the question. Is your boss the man we seek? Deku going to use his brainwashing, since he knows that he has to talk in order for it to work. Thinking that this should work, right? They're only thinking about my fire or my pyro. As he just begins. He would go to speak. As soon as he does so, he gets shocked. The man confused for a minute and surprised. So, another quirk. Interesting. Exactly what was that one? Deku still staying quiet. Eventually being just beaten. Activating his pain tolerance. As soon as he does activate his pain tolerance, this is whenever he would just, well, have this electricity flow through his body. Instead of it just being 1 second current, it would last for a while. The man somewhat surprised, watching as Deku just basically sits there with a sour face, getting electrocuted over and over and over again, in rapid burst. Deku basically just screaming at this pain. It feels numb, but it's still there. Until the man remotely turns off the collar, and tells Deku that that is not the only precaution they have. If he continues to do so, then they will, well, use more. So, give us our answer. We only seek to find him. We are not the villains. Deku just looking at this man, somewhat wanting to laugh, but he knows as soon as he does so, the man might just hit him. So, he would activate his intelligence, since the man has turned off this stupid fucking collar. Thinking, the man's not a hero, the man's not a villain. He's a vigilante, right? Wait, no. He said him and his allies are looking for my dad. What does that mean? Along with this phrasing, they seek the man who can give and take quirks. You've got to be shitting me. Deku just asking one more question. Why do you seek my boss? Deku's shifting the way he said that. The man noticing his pause, saying that they seek him because he is simply the one they wish to help and serve. Deku giving them a puzzled look, before he starts laughing. The man just doing one thing, pulling out a knife and telling Deku to stop. If he keeps laughing, things are going to be getting very, very hairy for him. The man somewhat just slicing Deku across one of his arms, and bringing his finger up, tapping onto the wound. Deku feeling something warm, as he does actually begin to hallucinate a little bit. The room somewhat just distorting, Deku's focus being primarily on this man, and basically telling Deku that this is different. Your boss is the man who we seek to serve. We are an order of men and women. In fact, we are willing. He could use us how he pleases. He can give our quirks, take our quirks. We do not care. We are the followers of All for One. And we seek his glory. Now, Deku would have eventually passed out, until he does wake up a little while later, somewhat feeling different. And, well, the man would have noticed, after Deku passes out, the wound has actually healed. That's 5 quirks. So, this brat, exactly what does he do? What has he done to earn All for One's respect this way? Not even that Shigaraki has that many quirks. This is annoying. Now, back over with the villains. They are trying to figure this out. It has been a, well, full day since Deku has gone missing. And they are trying to figure this all out, along with Shigaraki getting better. Shigaraki basically explaining that after they, well, injected him with something, he felt odd and kind of went rampant, as the doctor would say. Now, with that, All for One has to do something else though. He's not sure exactly when Deku will be, or how long Deku will be missing, so he needs to call out for Deku's school. Him doing so real quick and explaining the situation. Deku is sick today, and in fact, he will be looking after him. Now, that would have at least excused today, but for however long Deku will be missing, they need to find out, and get him now. So, this is whenever All for One will also ask the doctor to call their latest project. He is not supposed to be awakened yet, but, well, seems he will need to be awakened early. Now, with that being said, All for One would also tell him that how is the process going on, well, his little friend, or their other ally. The doctor's saying that their process has been fine. Would he like him to be summoned too? All for One just explained that yes, he would. because he believes that this might be early, but still, it will let him test some of those those little things. Now, with that being said, All for One is calling in Gigantomachia and another ally. At least, this ally. He has not earned his name yet, but he will soon, after the rest of the doctor's test. Now, with that being said, this ally is roughly a little bit of time away. He is out in the forest, and they will need to find him. So, that is what they will be doing. Now, let us do a bit of a time skip, where they have everyone assembled and set up. They have found Gigantomachia. It took them roughly about 2 days, since they believed him to be in one area of the forest, then the next, then basically searching through it for him, until they found him in a cave. Well, their other ally, number 9, currently 3, is somewhere. Dr. Uchiko had to wake him up and get him out of his little test tube. Now, All for One would have explained what is going on. Gigantomachia being surprised. His original task was to look after Shigaraki. Now there is a little boss running around. So, his new orders are to protect the little boss. Now, back over with Deku. Deku is being tortured, not gonna lie to you, and actually interrogated about where All for One is, and exactly why does he have so many quirks. He is not worthy of having that many. Even then, what has he done to earn them? He doesn't understand it. Now, today Deku would have been a bit annoyed. As soon as the man pumped him full of this, chemical, Deku would have broken free, ripping the chains off the wall and beginning to turn into metal. As the men would begin to fire upon Deku and begin to hurt him, trying to actually get through and get him more and more. Deku reading off their quirks. The man who's been talking with Deku, his quirk is quite simply labeled one word: fear. That explains that. Okay. What about the others? Deku just punching this man in the guts, trying to run through the facility. They are clearly somewhere, hidden, right? Shit. Now, with that being said, Deku, he would just get up and try running around. More and more and more, trying to punch his way through and actually hurt these members of this, cults, as you can call it. They worship All for One like he's a god. But he is not a god. Deku knows that. He's a man. If he says so, they might try and cut out his tongue. These psychopaths. These nutjobs. Now, Deku would have finally gotten away. Or so he thought. But that is whenever someone would begin doing one thing. Deku would have unhardened, and begin to try and walk through, since he thinks that he is free. Before someone actually does wrap something around Deku's arm, him turning to see them, as he immediately turns it back to steel, and begins to try and pull at them. Before another man walks up, grabbing onto this thing and beginning to pull himself. Deku actually hardening his legs as he stomps them into the ground, and just begins to pull on it, using his super strength. The man actually commenting that this boy is fairly strong. So, that is at least commendable. As the man with the fear quirk would have ran in, hearing him say that, the boy has another quirk. Jesus. This is getting annoying. Exactly why is this boy so important? Now, this is whenever Deku would just keep pulling and pulling harder and harder. Him and the man beginning to actually have a bit of a tug of war. Deku slowly being pulled closer and closer until he actually just bring up his other hand and fire off a large gust of fire. And his adrenaline spikes. Last stand activating. Deku just beginning to yank the man over. As soon as he yanks the man over, he would smash him across the face. And try and at least run. His spider sense is going haywire now. Exactly what the hell happened? As the man with the fear quirk would have immediately told the guy to do something. And go for a weakness. Him basically holding out his hand and pouring something along this guy's, well, quirk on his hand. The man lunging out with his fingers and immediately going to stab into Deku. He can't pierce steel, or at least not his body directly. He'll go for the structural weak points. Him aiming for Deku's leg, and hitting him in the back of his kneecap, hitting the cartilage underneath. This does not work, however. Deku, he does feel the pain. And, well, his body's hardened, so that will just be sitting there for a while. Deku just trying to run away, and get away. Until he does unharden his body and try and figure out what happened with his leg. He does feel scratches back there, but it should be okay. Before the room begins to spin. Deku not sure what happened, before realizing what he did. Pulling his hand back to reveal blood. And some of this goo. That's not good. Deku being to feel things actually shift, and hearing something. As if nails on a chalkboard in his skull. This being bad. Deku finally getting back up, and grabbing onto the chain. Turning his body into steel once more, trying to at least walk away. Until Deku actually does get grabbed onto. He feels something grab onto his waist as he looks down, immediately getting yanked in that direction. The man with the hardening quirk smashing Deku super strength quirk, smashing Deku across the face, and smashing him into the ground. Deku actually beginning to scream. Whatever that man hit Deku with was so concentrated that it's a large dose. Deku just staring at the thing in front of him. Its claws are wrapped around his chest, and its face is disgusting and distorting. It's the scariest thing he's ever seen. Now, Deku, he would have been thrown around. The man actually doing that is to try and get Deku to let up his hardening. Smashing him into the roof and actually just grabbing him and trying to punch him across the face. Until he does have his own idea. Grabbing onto Deku and putting him in his hands. Trying to squeeze him. Trying to crush the hardened steel himself. Actually beginning to break through it a bit and cracking the metal. Until the man would have told him to stop. Him dropping Deku, and Deku unhardening, panting heavily. Looking directly at the man. The man immediately just putting something up to Deku's throat and pulling his hand away. Deku looking up at him as he goes to activate pyrokinesis as much as possible. As Deku gets shocked with about roughly 20 times the voltage he was earlier. And he begins to scream. Now, with that being said, the villains are back over at the hideouts, and Gigantomachia has been instructed to look for Midoriya, find the little boss, and bring him home, keep him safe. That is his orders. Now, with that being said, Deku, or not Deku, Gigantomachia and number 9, or number 3 right now. I'm just going to call him 9 so it doesn't get confusing, but he has 3 quirks right now. They would leave and begin to look around the city, scouring every single inch of it. This taking 2 days. Gigantomachia just using his smelling ability, trying to smell around the entire city, making sure to try and find him more and more and more, using his increased senses. This is not working, however, so they have a bit of a problem. Wherever they took Midoriya, he is not in the city. It has taken them 2 whole days to do that, and he isn't here. This has just been a waste of time. Until all for one does tell Gigantomachia to at least try and follow a scent. Try and track down his son. This being whenever he would just hold something up. One of Midoriya's shirts. One of his school uniform ones, saying that this is his shirt. Now, please find his son. Look for him. Try and track his scent. Now, Gigantomachia would, well, smell the shirt, as he does actually try and follow the scent, heading back to the place where they took Midoriya. And as soon as he's there, he does find something a bit odd. The scent only goes for about 5 steps. That is where it stops. Now, with that happening, Kirigiri would open a portal, and the villain would basically stick his head through, sniffing around the different cities. As soon as they opened the portals of the city Deku was in, he would have jumped through, explaining that this is where young boss here, since he's not very intelligent. Now, with that being said, back over at the villains, or the people who have Midoriya, over the last 2 days since his previous escape attempt, they have been trying to pump this information out of him. The man in the room usually using fear and different methods of, well, hurting Deku to try and get the information out of him. Telling him that he just needs to comply. That is it. That is all they want. He just needs to give them a reason. Why is he so valuable to All for One? It does not make a single bit of sense. Deku just explaining, finally, that he can go fuck himself. Before at least smirking at the man. The man wondering where this child has learned such vulgar language. So, this is not good. The man walking over and bringing up his hand. It being coated in this black substance. And it just getting, well, darker and darker. That's not possible. The man saying that his quirk is fear. You understand that, don't you? You know that as soon as you come in contact with this, Deku a bit, well, scared. He's been under the effects of this quirk before, and he can't even take the guy's quirk. Last time he tried, he just got a massive shock. He didn't even start taking it either. So, he needs to try and power through it this time. Otherwise, things are going to be a lot messier. The man just doing one thing. Saying that Midoriya needs to comply. Tell us why you are so important. Deku just looking away, and trying to focus. Trying to get his mind ready to take his quirk. As soon as he starts the process, he will be shocked, and pain tolerance will immediately activate. So, I need to be ready. The man stabbing his finger into Deku's, well, neck, before Deku can even look at the man, beginning to scream, "Why is he so important?" As he just begins to pump Deku with a concentrated dose of fear, increasing it rapidly. At first, he was only going at twice the normal rate, then his usual quirk, being able to affect the person fast, since if you hit an artery, or close to an artery, a certain vein, then you can get the blood to immediately pump to that person's heart. And fear will go throughout the brain in less than a minute, or in under 1 minute, rapidly. Now, with that being said, he is jumping his quirk up to high levels. The dose he is giving Deku is highly concentrated. At first, it was 10 times the normal rate, so Deku would be in immense fear, screaming and crying usually. However, this time, he's brought Deku up to a much higher degree, about 30 times the normal rate. Deku immediately feeling the effects of it and beginning to scream, his entire world crumbling around him, as he somewhat snaps, finally just screaming out that the reason he's important is because he's All For One's son. The man confused as he backs away. And, well, he's not sure what to do. If this boy is the son of All For One, then that means he can... Wait. So many quirks. Give and take. The man immediately realizing what he did. He has messed up. He has taken All For One's son. The second coming is already here. This is not good. This is bad. Now, with that being said, the villain, or the man, would try helping Deku, immediately just creating an antidote in his body, since he not only can create fear, but something to at least try and nullify its effects. Him trying to give it to Deku, as he would drop Deku to the ground, getting him out of his chains. Deku just curling up in a ball and starting to cry. As he goes to move Deku, Deku just touching onto the ground and turning into concrete, as he just lays there. The man understanding why he did that, at least feeling a bit of remorse, since he has fucked up bad. He's more concerned with what's going to happen now. They've tried to contact him about his missing employee, but they got no response. Especially since that place he went to last week, it was closed for business, as the bartender said. So this just keeps getting worse and worse. Now, with that, Deku, he is still under these effects of fear, and trying to at least mellow out, or get out of this state. The antidote is not working. In fact, it is somewhat worse than the effects. He'll get moments of lucidity as things will begin to warp and distort once again. Deku finally mentally snapping, and getting back up. Walking over and hardening his hands to a couple things that were around the room. He turns his body into steel, copper, and he actually does take a lead pipe, ripping a piece of it out of the wall, and turning his hand into that. At least his fingertips, as he is actually able to create a bit of sharpened claws out of them. Immediately just walking through and ripping off the door. These mercenaries who were with Deku, or who attacked him, immediately just staring at him. Deku running into and actually slashing into the one that has the weird quirk that allowed him to grab onto Deku. Deku being able to immediately just rip out his throat, and beginning to tear into the one with super strength. This one decided to stop holding back. Deku has activated Last Stand, and with his super strength quirk already, that means that he is getting a 5th time stronger. And adrenaline pumping through his body. Now, the man would just be fighting with Deku, telling the kid to calm down. They were told to stop trying to fuck with him. They were told to protect him. Deku doing one thing, taking the man's quirk and breaking his arms. The man, confused as he starts screaming. Deku just looking at the man, bringing his leg up and smashing downwards on his ribcage. A lot of people coming running to hear him scream. Deku turning around to look at them. His eyes are bloodshot red, and in fact, he is beginning to start using all of his quirks at once. Illusions. And, well, he's making them a bit worse, making himself look like to be a monster. Everyone is running and screaming. Deku charging in and beginning to slash through all these people. The ones who have tortured him. As eventually, Deku would be a bit more lucid. And he's still tearing through them. Although he does have some sense in himself. As the man with the fear quirk would go running out of the building. Immediately being grabbed by All For One. Wrapping him up and putting him up in the air. And beginning to crush him. Asking him for answers as to where his son is. 9, however, he's just telling All For One that he needs to calm down. If he keeps doing that, then they won't get any answers. As the man just starts praying to and actually starts to call out All For One's name. Telling him that it is so nice to meet him. As one thing happens, there is more screaming inside the building. All For One telling the man to let them see this. As they would all walk in. This man basically being held at gunpoint, if you can call it that. As one thing can be seen. Deku, he is standing in the center of a room, or in a hallway. Crouched down and curled up into a ball. Surrounded by 100 bodies. They're not even sure how many are left. Or if those were even bodies to begin with. They've been torn to shreds. And Deku is just sitting there, not moving a single muscle. All For One seeing this, turning to the man and immediately just taking his quirk. And finding out what it is. Whenever he does put it into his neck, and the man begins to scream with fear. Him understanding this now. Grabbing the man by the face and pumping it directly into his brain. The man falling down to the ground because he was just pumped with roughly 100 times what he did to Deku. So around 300%. Now, this means that effect might be permanent. All For One walking in. Deku turning to see him. His vision still distorting. His dad looking like a monster. Skin that's on fire. And a horrible looking face. As he does reach his hand out, telling his son that he is here, and that the man who has done this to him will pay. Izuku. Deku just looking at him. Staring at him actually. All For One just, grabbing onto him and holding him. Trying to figure out this quirk. Thinking. The info quirk he has is telling him that he can create an antitoxin to this. So he would just hold on to Deku as he actually does pierce into the back of his arm. Deku actually beginning to move around and trying to get away from him. As he would eventually stop fighting it. His vision somewhat returning to normal. Deku just starting to cry as he holds onto his dad. All For One picking him up and carrying him away. Deku looking where he was sitting. The pile of corpses around it. Watching as the man who had him is screaming on the ground. And there are 2 other people with him. Tomura is actually grabbing onto the man's leg. While 9 is using his unnamed laser quirk to fire into him. Firing into his body and into his torso. at least making sure that he won't be able to move for quite a while. Deku at least noticing that quirk. That's the one that a man attacked him with. Why does he have it? Deku's still crying at least, before Kirige would open a portal, and they would head home. Now then, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed the video, and have an amazing day. I will catch you guys in the next part. And yes, I'm quite aware that this was a dark episode. But, well, I'm pretty sure I'm the only what-ifer who might do very dark stuff like this. If I am not, then I would like to know who the other what-ifer is. I'm actually genuinely curious, because I've never seen anyone do a villain series like I do. Getting off track. I will catch you guys in the next part.